Hey guys, hello, happy to see you again this evening, and today I have the honor to introduce you, first of all, a great friend of mine, but most importantly, a professional salesman with a great career in sales. Now Alfred is retired, but I assure that he is really more active than many young people I do know. The point tonight is that he will share with us some great tips that would be really useful for some beginner salespeople, and not only beginner, as well for experienced salespeople. So, Alfred, are you ready for some questions about your career? Would you like to share some ideas with us tonight?
Certainly, not a problem for me. I'm here for you to share with you whatever I can of the last 71 years of my life.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. So, the first question I want to start with is, how did you get into sales, and which was your first sales experience? And just after that, I want to know how many different sales jobs have you experienced?
Well, we can go back a few years to my early adolescent days. Actually, I grew up pretty much in the street. Actually, my mother had so many children, like the woman in the shoe, she didn't know what to do. So she gave us away to different families. And I was with a family that grandparents and aunt who really didn't show me no love. So I moved into the street. I was selling myself at an early age for services such as cutting grass, errands, and so forth and so on. And I was in a place called Beaufort, South Carolina, where I migrated to New York around the 4th grade and moved in with an aunt and an uncle because my mother still could not afford to take care of all the children. She had 17. And what we did was, I did personally, I went about in the street and I identified all the houses at this time had wooden stoves. So I would go to the lumber yard where they had cut up extra wood, and I would take it in the bushel baskets and sell it. And I would also sit on the corner. I had my little shoe shine box, and I was selling shoe shines for like 10 cents on the corner. And I did that on up into around, I guess, the 8th grade, and actually it's kind of got into school after that and got involved with the military and went into the military at a very early age, which was around 18. And actually when I got out of the military, I took a break in the service at around, I guess I was 9 years, 6 months. And I got out because my wife didn't like the military. And I began working for Metropolitan Insurance Company, a very large insurance company selling life insurance policies, health insurance policies, automobile insurance policies, and homeowners insurance policies. And these are some of the areas that I work in early in my sales career. After retiring from the military, I went back to this same company because 9 years and 6 months, I look at that, I say, wow, I'm giving that many years away of my life. Why should I give that many years away when in 20 years the military would provide me with military benefits? So I went back and completed the other 11 years, and it was like the best thing I've ever done in my life. So from that point, I got out, and then I went to work for the company again, in Metropolitan Insurance Company. Now, the sales business, as you very well know, is not for everyone, but it was a great experience getting into it. It was a significant emotional event in my life because it gave me some basis to deal in the civilian sector. Being in the military, I was a trained killer. Kill, capture, or destroy was my motto, which was the unit motto. I was in units that had attitudes like lead the rest, always first, above the rest, second to none. All these things had a mental effect on me, so I always wanted to be the winner. And so in sales, I had that same attitude. And the military car sales, BMW, Volvo, all these things was a part of my sales career.
Wow, Alfred, it looks like you had a really tough experience at the beginning, especially because you didn't choose that. Maybe you just had to do it to survive. You were forced to take that path, but it was really challenging for you. And probably, I just can imagine that in that young age you've made some errors as well. Would you like to talk to us about this a little bit? Which are the errors you've made and which are the errors you could have avoided?
Well, let's focus on the errors in sales because there's so many errors outside of it that growing up without parents, without guidance, without anyone steering you, finding your own way. In the military, it was like the people that were in charge of you was just too close for me. I mean, the guy next to me, anybody in the room could tell me where I could turn, and I didn't appreciate that. I didn't like people being so close who could make me do things. And so I choose sales. Now, the things I did in the military, especially with the insurance business, I focused on one part of the program as opposed to focusing on all three, actually all four. I focused on life because they paid the biggest benefit. And health, automobile, and homeowners policies allow you to get into the door of a family. Therefore, you have an opportunity to see who's in there and you can sell insurance, life insurance, which was the biggest benefit. Okay, so I went there and worked with sales in that area, but the mistakes were focusing on one product instead of all the products. And another mistake is not prospecting well, because when you're selling, everybody is a prospect. The big thing is qualifying a person who may or may not be able to buy your product. So if you don't qualify that person, you waste a lot of time dealing with that individual to come to find out they can't afford it anyway. So that's one of the big problems that I was confronted with, was failing to qualify everybody.
Okay, so if I understand well, you suggest maybe to the young salespeople, first of all, to learn well their products, not focus only on one of them, but learn all of your products, because it could open new opportunities, new doors for you.
Absolutely.
And then don't waste your time with the bad prospects.
Yes, but you won't know that unless you qualify. And most sales organizations have a form for you to qualify that customer. So you have to sit down. One of the first things to do, it's kind of awkward, trying to say, well, how much money you make. How many bills do you have? What do you have going out other than that? And so forth. Most people try to keep that to themselves, and so they don't want to reveal it. So, but it is very important to know that information to work a deal.
Okay, thank you. So sales is a very challenging career. Sales has a really big turnover of people. Many people try to get into sales, but then they get out. It means that there are a lot of challenges probably. Which were the main challenges for you as a young salesman, or even as an experienced salesman?
Yeah, the real challenge, I would say the real challenge is balancing your time, because you have to prospect. You have to study the product. You have to do the contracts. You have to have family. You have to have friends. You have to have free time. All these things must be divided into the 24 hours of that day or for that week. So basically, you set yourself up a to-do list that, Giovanna, we're in the middle of an interview right now. Giovanna?
Hello, Giovanna. Thanks for visiting us.